where we all belong, our nation. My hypothesis now is that big performance arts complexes, the paragon of today's architecture, try to impose themselves as this kind of architectural zero institutions. Their very conflicting meaning, amusement and high art, profane and sacred, exclusive and popular, cancel themselves mutually so that the outcome is the presence of meaning as such, as opposed to non-meaning. Their meaning is to have meaning, to be islands of meaning in the flow of our meaningless daily existence. In order to provide a brief insight into the parallax nature of these performance art venues, let me begin by the fundamental feature of postmodern architecture, the end of the so-called expressive correspondence between the inside, the division of buildings into rooms and spaces for different activities, and the outside of a building. With postmodern architecture, this correspondence breaks down. We move towards radical incommensurability. The functions, that is to say, the rooms, the interior, the inner space, the inner structure of a building, the interior rooms hang within their enormous container like so many floating organs. Look, this is a typical Rem Koolhaas, where you have this at its purest. This is the zero level of postmodernism. It's just a box, and you see the gap between inside and outside. It's like floating organs, no relation of expressivity there. However, one should not misunderstand this emphasis on the incommensurability between outside and inside. One should not misunderstand it as a critique, relying on the demand for some kind of non-alienated continuity between the two. The incommensurability between outside and inside is, I claim, a kind of transcendental a priori. In our most elementary phenomenological experience, the reality we see through a window when we look outside from inside is always minimally spectral, not as fully real as the closed space where we are. This is why when driving a car or looking through a window of a house, we perceive the reality outside in a strange, derealized state, as if one is watching a performance on a screen. When you open the window of a car, the direct impact of the external reality always causes a minimal shock. You are overwhelmed by the proximity of the outside. This is also why when we enter the closed space of a house, we are often surprised. It seems that the inside is larger than the outside, as if the house is larger from the inside as from the outside. And you get my point. My point is that the moment we have this minimal enclosure, architectural, the moment there is a division between inside and outside, the two are radically incommensurable. If I'm this voice, I hate it. But, now let me give you an extreme example that I want to make. On the southern side of the demilitarized zone that divides North from South Korea, South Koreans built a unique visitor's site. A theater building with a large screen-like window in front. It's simply a gigantic hall with a big screen, but screen opens up on what? Not on a stage, not on a movie screen, but onto reality itself, towards north. Because this is the only point where from the south, because it's up on a hill, you can see a small North Korean town. So I like this idea that people gather there and pay to see reality, as it were. The spectacle people observe when they take seats and look north through the window is reality itself. The barren demilitarized zone with walls and beyond a glimpse of North Korea. Now comes the comedy. As if to comply with the fiction, North Korea has built in front of this theater a pure fake, a model village with beautiful houses and so on. What North Korea did is that they painted all the houses, but only the side which looks towards south with colors. You know that the dresses also are with coupons rationed there. Inhabitants there got special rations to get better dresses. Electricity, which is strictly rationed, is provided for hours every evening, but the local people there have the obligations to walk every evening nicely dressed. The whole reality itself is staged. So, a barren zone is given a phantasmatic status, elevated into a spectacle simply by being inframed. We thus have to distinguish between two outsides, the direct outside and the inside outside. The two are not the same. In the second case, the outside is no longer simply the unity which contains the inside, but is enclosed by the inside. North Korea, which is something miserable, is sublime when you look at it through the frame of South Korea. There can also be, so you got my point. My point is that we have outside, which is simply stupid outside of nature. But what it can be developed in art theory very nicely, how what all romantics are doing when they select part of outside, waterfall, whatever, is that there is, this outside is already seen from some imagined inside. You should always look at an implicit frame. There can also be a false redoubled inside. For example, it happened to me when I was at ZKM, this modern digital art complex in Karlsruhe, in West Germany. There is a TV screen in front of the entrance to the main toilet area, which shows continuously on it black and white screen the inside of a small toilet cube with the empty toilet bowl. And I, total idiot as I am, I found myself in this stupid situation when I had to go to the toilet. So my first reaction was, oh, so nice that they give you information, you know, the toilet is free in there. But I said, wait a minute, but when I enter it, it will no longer be free and people will see me or what. Then, okay, I'm an idiot. It took me some 10 seconds to get it that, of course, this is a running old shot and so on. But it works, because they put it. No? What this mutual encroaching of inside and outside indicates is that inside and outside never cover the entire space. There is always an excess of a third space which gets lost in the division into outside and inside. In human buildings, there is an intermediate space, I claim, which is disavowed. We all know it exists, but we don't really libidinally accept its existence. It remains ignored and mostly unsayable. The main content of this invisible space is excrement, canalization, but also the complex network of electricity, digital links, and so on. All this is contained in narrow spaces between walls or floors. We, of course, know very well how excrements leave the house, but our immediate phenomenological relation to it is a more radical one. It is as if shit disappears into some netherworld out of our sight and out of our world. This is why one of the most unpleasant experiences is to observe the shit coming back from the hole in the toilet bowl. It is something like the return of the living dead, I think.